Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
And a very pleasant good morning to you. Welcome to Hanny Time 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I'm Charles Hannegriff. Mario Jerez, Taylor Sharp on the board with me today. Man, Thanksgiving week is always one of my absolute favorite weeks to do the show and to do what we do as far as sports, because there's so much going on. And Thanksgiving, you get to see the family, you get to reflect a little bit. And let me tell you something right off the bat. The very first thing I read this morning is that Mike Hollins left the hospital this morning, and we don't have to wait for Thanksgiving. We don't have to wait for Thursday to be grateful. And I know his family really is, and we are too. So God bless to Mike Hollins, who was involved obviously in the shooting at the University of Virginia. He was discharged from the hospital this morning. So I know that family is real thankful today. Good news, really good news to start the week off. So much going on. LSU is at halftime in the basketball game that's against Illinois State. The first game, 45-18, is the score at the half. I'm gonna come clean here. We've been doing podcasts here for the last hour and change, so I have not. I got the score, and that's about it. So I'm gonna kind of take a little bit of time when we go to the press conference and do a little bit of review on that. World Cup today at 1:00. Get off the show today. Gonna go watch soccer. I'm actually excited about the U.S. against Wales, because it's like this pivotal game, right, on the very first game of the World Cup. I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute, how can this be just this crucial, do or die game? It's the first match, man. Can we ease into this thing? And then I was reminded that when the hockey team won in 1980, okay, they had to play Sweden the very first game. They played the game actually before the opening ceremonies of the 1980 Olympics. And it turned out if they didn't win or tie, they were going to have a hard time advancing. And they got a goal with about 20 seconds to go. Billy Baker scored, and they got the tie, and that's what they needed to move forward. And then, of course, they didn't lose after that. But the tie was crucial to get them to the medal round. It's a great interview with Mike Eruzione, who was the captain of that team. And they tell him all the time, he says, if Billy doesn't score, you're painting bridges the rest of your life. And he goes, you know what? Billy did score. And the United States won the gold medal. Anyway, LSU wins the game 41-10 against UAB. Somebody who looked a lot like me was a touch nervous about this game last week. Not that LSU would actually lose the game, but that they would come out flat, that they would come out and maybe have a little bit of a sloppy performance. And watching college football throughout the day didn't do anything to dampen my nervousness. Number 1, Georgia, struggled, but won. Number 2, Ohio State, struggled, but won. Number 3, Michigan, struggled, but won. Number 4, TCU, struggled, but won. Number 5, Tennessee, got blown out of Columbia, South Carolina. Now, granted, all of those teams played conference games, and this was a non-conference game for LSU. But you get the picture. If LSU had, come home 27-13 or 27-17 in a really sloppily played game, I wouldn't have been surprised. Got exactly the opposite, which was exactly what Brian Kelly and his staff were hoping for, which is that LSU would come out, establish themselves early, get Jaden Daniels back in a rhythm, and coast to a win. And that is exactly what happened. Daniels accounted for over 400 yards of total offense. He had a touchdown on the ground. He had a touchdown through the air. Much like the Arkansas game, LSU came out throwing. The difference was that in the Arkansas game, I think it was 7 of the first 10 plays were passes. After Daniels threw the interception and after he had the fumble, he was a very, very tentative quarterback. And, it might have been the defensive looks that Arkansas was giving him, might have been the cold weather, might have been the psychological effects of the turnovers. For whatever it was, he was very tentative after that and had a rough game. LSU managed to get the win. This time, Denbrock comes back out, and he's throwing the ball again. And, the second play from scrimmage, Daniels hits Malik Neighbors on a beautiful play. And if in the Arkansas game the turnover got into Daniels' head and made him a little bit tentative, this pass could have done nothing but boost his confidence. And for the rest of the game, he was throwing great balls on a night where it wasn't maybe the easiest night to throw the football down the field. It was wet, it was cold, but Daniels had a phenomenal game, both throwing the football and running the football. LSU's defense put in a hole by the kickoff return, special teams. Every time the LSU special teams are like a bad horror movie, right? Every time you think it's over and everything's okay, somebody comes out from behind a curtain or behind some door somewhere and reaches out and grabs you. The kickoff return put them in a hole. They ran a nice play to get them down in position. They score. Then the second drive, they give up the drive, and it's a 14-10 ball game. But Matt House, who I think has had a phenomenal year calling defenses for LSU, did what he has done many times this year. He makes a few adjustments, and LSU put the UAB rushing game in the deep freeze. Dwayne McBride, who came in as the nation's leading rusher, was held to 2.6 yards per carry. He only had 34 yards on the day. It allowed LSU to open up the lead because that defense was, after they gave up the one drive, they really put things in neutral for UAB. In fact, to the point where in the second half, I almost thought that, not almost, I did think that LSU maybe should have got Jaden Daniels out of the game, a drive or even two before they would. LSU's lead was safe at 18 points, and I understand why Kelly did it, but LSU's lead was safe because the defense was playing that well. UAB was not going to come back from down multiple scores in the second half of this game. Some other, unsung heroes from this game included Noah Cain, who has not had a prominent role in this offense for the last month and a half. Really, since the end of September, Cain's role has been reduced. Well, LSU was without Josh Williams in this game. We know now, are without Armani Goodwin for the rest of the season. And once John Emery put the ball on the ground, they needed another running back, and Cain answered the call. Listen, there's nothing dynamic about Noah Cain. He's not going to remind you of the most explosive backs you've ever seen. But what Noah Cain does is he will give you an honest effort. He's going to run hard. He's not an explosive back, but he does pass block very well. He can catch the football, and he's going to run it hard north-south. He had forget the 3 touchdowns. I mean, those were the short range. The runs he gave them very much beneficial to what Jaden Daniels needed in this game. The second one was Marlon Martinez. With Charles Turner out for this game, Martinez, who has not played a ton of center in games, I know he has practiced there, was not recruited as a center, to come out on a night where the ball was wet. Hey, how many bad snaps, guys? None? How many botched assignments? This guy's got to go in there cold, make the line calls. He's got to make the snaps. We know whenever you've got a center that's struggling to snap the football, it makes you nervous about everything else. The first game of the season, and no disrespect to the young man, but Garrett Dellinger had a hard time snapping the football, and it affected everything that LSU did. And they made that move afterwards. They were trying to ramp him up. Listen, young man's a really good guard. Not a center. Hey, it happens. So I don't want to take what Martinez did for granted. because it was a really, really strong performance. In fact, Brian Kelly even kind of tongue-in-cheek suggested, hey, man, look, this guy's got a real future here. I think Turner's going to be back at practice on Monday because I thought he had a fantastic game. Malik Neighbors, obviously, that was a big game. Thought Greg Penn followed up on a couple of strong performances, added another one to that. So, in short, a team that could have come out and not maybe had the sharpest performance really did have the sharpest performance on this night. And you got to give credit to the coaching staff. You got to give credit to the players for taking care of business. Now you move forward to a game against Texas A&M, and one of the lingering images from Saturday was an empty Kyle Field. The number of players that are either already announced their intentions for the transfer portal or certainly are looking around at this point. It's a pretty long list at Texas A&M. Then you look at the empty stadium. It was one tweet even. There were two UMass players, and UMass is one of the worst 5 or 6 teams in D1. Okay, so if you're a Texas A&M fan, your team's got a losing record. The weather's lousy. UMass is the opponent. Look, I'm not running to the tailgate. I get it. But there's 2 UMass players that are kneeling down to pray in the end zone, and A&M fires the cannon. I mean, the little celebratory, cannon blast. I mean, it's not a real cannon, obviously, but with the smoke, even the promotions department can't get it right over there. I mean, when you look up train wreck of a season for Texas A&M, this is the absolute poster child for train wreck of a season. And I really can't put my finger on it. It's not a lack of talent. I mean, a lack of talent suggests that maybe you can't win some of the games against teams in the Southeastern Conference, but the athletic department really kind of tries to buy you 3 wins. I mean, all of your non-conference games are not going to be tough, and they couldn't even get that done. Jimbo's offense is antiquated. Okay. I watched Les Miles run an antiquated offense here for 10 years, and he managed to win 8 games a year. How antiquated can it be? I mean, I understand he's got the Encyclopedia Britannica right there under his clipboard, but I mean, listen, when you're Texas A&M and you've got all together now, the number 1 recruiting class in the country, I mean, antiquated offense or not, you ought to be able to do better than this. You're on your 3rd quarterback who they think is, going to be the one, but Jimbo Fisher is not this bad of a coach. Make all the jokes you want about the contract and the offense and his little tirade against Saban in the summer, but he ain't this bad. You'd ask me at the beginning, tell me, what's the worst possible record that Texas A&M can have? I'd have looked at it and said, man, look, everything goes wrong. They have a rash of injuries. They have bad culture in the locker room. Every loose ball bounces the other way. Everything goes absolutely to crap. 6-6, and they're gonna be worse than that. I don't know what kind of effort you're gonna see this weekend from the Aggies. I said on the postgame show, and I believe this, that it'll be one of 2 extremes. That you'll either get a great effort from a team that knows that this is the end. They see it as their bowl game. LSU is a game that they always get up for. Holiday weekend at Texas A&M, even with the bad record, this is their tradition. Thanksgiving weekend. Now they used to do it on Thanksgiving, and it was the UT game. But Thanksgiving weekend is a big part of A&M tradition. They'll show up and they'll have max effort, or it'll be like, man, can we get this over with? I mean, run the clock. Let's get out of here. And as much as I make fun of Gordy when we do Keys to the V, and he says, man, get off to a good start. You get off to a good start this week, and Texas A&M may run the white flag up and say, you know what, let's get out of here. That'll be a theme throughout the week that we'll be talking about is what kind of Texas A&M team will you see? For LSU, this is real simple. You want to keep yourself in the national championship. You want to keep yourself in the playoff discussion. Then you got to win this game. And you probably need to win it by more than the point spread, which is up to 9.5 today, because the committee's watching. Right, this is going to be a thing now. We're talking about we're on to the style points portion of the beauty contest, right? What's USC going to do? How does Michigan, Ohio State's loser look at the end of that game? Honestly, you should probably, if we're going to get into that, you should probably root for Ohio State if you're an LSU fan, because Ohio State with one loss has a better record, has a better resume than Michigan with one loss. And the reason is because Notre Dame has had a second half of the season resurgence, and a win over Notre Dame is better than anything that Michigan has on their resume non-conference, and by a pretty wide margin. So if you're looking to that, Clemson's resume is going to be back in play now with the Tennessee loss. What you have to look at there is what they've done in the non-conference, and the ACC, down as it is, took even another hit on Saturday when Georgia Tech beat North Carolina. So all of that stuff is in play. We're overdue for a break. Saints got a win yesterday, so we got a lot going on. Brian Kelly press conference at 11:40. We will take you there and then bring you up to 1 o'clock and possibly a little bit beyond that. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. You know what? Thanksgiving is this weekend, so get your Supreme Rice for your holiday dishes. Rice dressing is a huge deal for Thanksgiving where I am at, because it's one of my favorites. Mom knows that. Wife knows that. Mother-in-law knows that. So we got rice dressing. But there's so many different dishes that you can make with Supreme Rice. And, for the holidays, you get a big gathering. You want to stretch that food dollar. You're going to be able to do that with Supreme Rice. You'll be supporting our Louisiana farmers down in Crowley, Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, since the 1930s, because all of our Supreme Rice is grown, milled, and processed right here in Louisiana. Easy to get at all of your AG food stores, your Rouse's. We do pregame at Rouse's, your Winn-Dixies, your Walmarts, including your Walmart neighborhood stores. So make it Supreme Rice, whether it's the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine. Jazz up your holiday with Supreme Rice. For more information, if you're looking for some unique recipes, go to the website, SupremeRice.com.
Professional golfers John Peterson and JJ Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
Do more of what you're born to do.
On Tuesday's OTB, Texas 4-8 week officially begins. Can the Tigers finish the fight? Plus, Nick Underhill stops by to break down what's going on with the Saints. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Anytime with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Brian Kelly press conference here in about 20 minutes. I wanted to, ordinarily we talk about the Saints right here. I'll get to that in the next segment, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about the college football playoff, because you're going to get a lot of people making strong opinions about things that happened most recently. This stuff drives me absolutely bananas, okay? And I was reminded of it. Congratulations to who is it in the chat that said this, to Lars. Was it Lars or no, it's Bodacious, said you hear Joe Klatt during the USC-UCLA game getting mad about how LSU and Alabama are playing UAB and Austin Peay. I didn't. We were watching the game, but I didn't have the sound on. I'm not going to be hypocritical. I don't like LSU playing UAB at this time of year either. This is a game that should be played in September. I've been on that rant. I don't need to do it again. But LSU absolutely 100% ought to back up one of their non-conference games that they're going to play a college a CFP opponent, an FCS opponent. Excuse me. They ought to play them in week 0, and they ought to move this game up in the schedule somewhere, and they ought to take another off week. They don't have to take it late in November. They can adjust this. And if what they're doing is waiting until the conference realigns the entire schedule to do that, that's fine. I don't like this game at this time of year. I don't like the Georgia State game at this time next year. I don't like the fact that Alabama's playing Austin Peay. I don't like the fact that A&M's playing UMass. These games at this time of the year absolutely stink. But let's not make out like, oh, well, USC's playing a tough schedule and these Southeastern Conference teams are not. It's just how they are in sequence, okay? USC played Rice. They played Fresno State. UAB and Rice are comparable teams. In fact, UAB is probably better than Rice, okay? I don't like the fact that LSU's playing FCS opponents. I've said that before. But you got to look at the whole schedule, all right? So if you're going to ding LSU for playing UAB, ding LSU for playing UAB. But let's talk about apples and apples. Put UAB up against Rice. Put New Mexico up against Fresno State. Put Florida State up against Notre Dame. Okay, that's fair. You want to look at the whole schedule? Look at the whole schedule. But don't tell me. You got to be able to look back past the last 48 hours. The committee's going to do this to Tennessee too, all right? Hendon Hooker's out for the rest of the season, which means he's not going to play in whatever bowl game they play in. So, and Tennessee's not going to be in the college football playoff after that loss. I get it. But they're going to go out there and they're going to say, well, we're going to drop Tennessee even further because Hendon Hooker is no longer the quarterback, which is absolute garbage. Do I think that Tennessee's as good without Hendon Hooker as they are with him? Absolutely not. But why don't you just go tell all of those players on the Tennessee team you're 10 spots worse without your quarterback, without even giving the other guy a chance? What if the committee had done that to Ohio State when Cordell Jones had to play quarterback? You guys are on your third-string quarterback, man. We're just going to kick you out of the playoffs. They went in there and won the national championship. Get out of the prediction business. You don't know how Tennessee's going to play without Hendon Hooker, and neither do I. If I did, I'd be placing the biggest bet of my life. You guys be doing the show without me next week. Have a nice umbrella drink somewhere. And get out of this recency bias. I can only remember what happened last week. You got a computer, right? You can do research, right? USC's played nothing but. Okay, you want to talk about schedule? They've beaten one ranked team the whole year. You want to go schedule for schedule? I'm happy to do that. Your argument ain't UAB. USC's argument is not Rice. LSU's argument is Alabama. LSU's argument is Ole Miss. You want to take the middle of the conference? Let's compare Florida and Washington State. Let's compare Auburn and Arizona State. You got to go line by line if we're gonna do this right. So I don't want to hear about, well, they play UAB in November. Okay, played Florida State in September. Should USC be given more credit because their main non-conference opponent, their number one non-conference opponent, they play in November, and the Southeastern Conference teams play theirs in September? You didn't hear me back on September the whatever it was saying USC plays a lousy schedule. See, they played Rice this week. That's not your argument. There's an argument for USC, and the argument is going to be that they played 9 conference games, so you're going to have one of these conference games against one of your non-conference games. I would tell you right now that if Stanford played UAB, I'd give UAB a damn good shot to win the game, but I digress. I would rather the critics say you played an FCS team back in September. That's legit. You want to shame the Southeastern Conference teams for playing FCS teams every year? Be my guest. In fact, I'll join you because Southeastern Conference teams shouldn't be playing FCS teams, and we said that at the time. But don't give me this recency. All I can remember is what I saw last Saturday, garbage, because it just doesn't play. You want to tell me that Cal and Colorado and Arizona are better than Mississippi State and Florida and Auburn? Please make your case. I want to hear it. Your case is not UAB. Your case is not New Mexico, just the same way USC's case is not Rice. Please try to have a little bit of perspective. Can we go past what we saw last weekend? You want to say, hey, LSU got blown out by Tennessee. They got to own that. It may very well keep them out of the playoffs. And if it does, okay, well, that's how that went. You had them in your stadium, and you got beat. You got thumped. You want to say LSU's second loss should disqualify them because the other teams had one loss? That's a perfectly legitimate argument. And LSU will have to wear that a missed extra point in the Superdome may cost them a shot at the national title because everything counts, right? It's the whole reason behind keeping the college football season the way it has been for so many years. It's why there's been so many people fighting a 12-team playoff. It's because everything matters, not just what you saw last week. Thank you for getting my blood pressure up today. I hear UAB one time on that selection show tomorrow night, I'm going to lose my mind. Somebody will have to tell me about it because I'm not watching the selection show tomorrow night. There's MAC football on. But I hear UAB one time. I better hear Rice. Give me the break, man. Joel Klatt. Come on, man. Look past. Try to have a memory past 48 hours ago. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. I've told you many times that I've bought my last 3 vehicles there, and the time comes to buy my next vehicle, it'll be at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. The Certified Pre-Owned program has been a winner for us. So many benefits to get with it. Up to a 6-year unlimited mileage warranty, and this is after the vehicle is going through a 167-point inspection to ensure that it's up to code. Complimentary first-year basic maintenance, a Carfax 3-year buyback guarantee. You get a free 3-month trial subscription to Sirius Satellite Radio. Emergency roadside assistance, which is just absolutely fabulous. I told you I had to use that not terribly long ago. Complimentary service courtesy vehicle is invaluable. You're trying to save time. You don't have to sit and wait for your vehicle to be serviced. You don't have to arrange for transportation. Transparency in pricing and family owned and operated. It's Accurate Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When I was a boy, I spent my days climbing trees, catching fish. Barefoot in the river I walked, listening to crickets, counting stars. This was home. After my stroke, I wondered if I'd make it back to the people and places I love. But I got the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Your card matters. Your home does too.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 60 months on new 2022 Ford F-150s. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Enter now for a chance to win a catch and cook fishing experience from the Louisiana Charter Boat Association with me, Chef Jay Ducote, winner of Beat Bobby Flay. Register now at gocatch.com. That's GEAUX catch.com.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster
Quarterfinals in the Prep Football Playoffs, and we get started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview. Presented by the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Catholic High and Etta Carr kick off at 7, immediately followed by the Lake Urgent Care Total Occupational Medicine Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, Your View, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time, your sports break during your lunch break with Charles Hanagriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU basketball up 20 with about 10 minutes to go in their first game at the Cayman Islands Classic. You notice they never play these holiday basketball tournaments in Tulsa, right? They always go somewhere nice. 64-44 is the score. KJ Williams is going off. He's got 31 points. And 7 rebounds in I don't have a minute's count on him. He's scoring about a point a minute if he's played every minute. If he's taken any breather at all, he's scored more than a point a minute. You guys been following this over there, Mario? What else can you tell? Either one of you, what else can you tell me?
Looks like Adam Miller's in double digits too, 2 for 6 from the field. Other than that, pretty even effort. Coleman has 8 points off the bench. Great start for LSU.
LSU's living at the free throw line. They've made 16 out of 20 free throws through the first 30 minutes of this game. Looks like they will advance 3 games in 3 days. LSU basketball, World Cup, holiday week, man, this is good stuff. Couple more out of the chat, and then I'll move on, I think. The USC jumped LSU in the AP poll, which a lot of times is a precursor to jumping them in the college football playoff poll. I mentioned this on postgame when we were wrapping up. May not have been many of you still listening at that point. It was 2:30 in the morning, but Taylor, you were here, right? Yeah, okay. I predicted that at the end. Look, the recency bias in the AP poll, that's fine. And if they jump LSU in the CFP poll tomorrow night, that's fine. Because what is LSU's argument for the college football playoff? LSU's argument for the college football playoff is the Southeastern Conference Championship, which at this point they do not have and may never get, okay? So if you're going apples to apples and you're comparing USC's whole resume at this point and LSU's whole resume at this point, and you say USC's lost once and it's about 1 point to a ranked team on the last play of the game, and LSU lost 2 games and one of them was a blowout loss, and you want to rank USC ahead of them, I have no problem with that. That's fine. When you get to the last poll, if LSU has a Southeastern Conference Championship, that will be what they lay on the table. And then we'll see if USC can lay that on the table. Can they lay a Pac-12 championship on the table? Because they're going to have to beat Oregon. And Bo Nix played the other night, so long as everything holds here, they're going to have to beat Notre Dame and Oregon. Because right now, there ain't a whole lot of meat on the bone on the USC schedule. They beat UCLA the other night. They won by 3. It was a good game. It's a high-scoring game, very entertaining. Went over the total. So all of that's fine. You want to say USC right now is ahead? No problem. When you weigh the entire schedule, it'll include, if we're going to have a debate, it'll include an SEC championship for LSU and a Pac-12 championship for Southern Cal. If those things aren't in play, then we're not even having a debate. Then it's going to be, TCU and probably Clemson. I mean, if Notre Dame or Oregon beat USC, they're out. And if LSU loses to either A&M or Georgia, they're out. If Michigan loses to Ohio State, they'll have 1 loss, but no conference championship, and you went out of your way not to schedule anybody non-conference. Then they should be out. I'm a little bit more sympathetic towards Clemson because it's not completely their fault that it was not their fault at all that the rest of the ACC stinks. It's not their fault North Carolina lost to Georgia Tech on Saturday. So I'll at least hear an argument from Clemson. Who was it? Who was their big non-conference win? Who was their toughest non-conference win was Clemson, because they were they were way down in the poll. I mean, the rest of the ACC just absolutely stinks. Their big non-conference game was, it's South Carolina. That's why I couldn't remember it. Okay, rivalry, and they get Notre Dame on the ACC rotation, and Notre Dame spanked them. So Clemson doesn't have a real strong argument either. But if you go on process of elimination, if Southern Cal loses, if LSU loses, if TCU loses, although I would give TCU if TCU and Clemson both have 1 loss, and let's say TCU would lose to Iowa State this week and win the Big 12 championship, Clemson wins the ACC championship with 1 loss, I'd give it to TCU. I think they played a much tougher slate. Saints beat the Rams 27-20. 30 seconds before we go to the press conference. So nice game for Andy Dalton. Nice game for Taysom Hill. Big game for Chris Olave. Big game for nice catches for Jawan Johnson. They did a good job blocking Aaron Donald for most of the afternoon. And The Saints won a game in which, Cooper Kupp didn't play and Matthew Stafford left halfway through. Way to go, Saints. 1-7 on the season. Take it to the press conference. We'll be back on the other side. This is Hanny Time. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The following is an exclusive presentation of the LSU Sports Radio Network. Welcome in to the Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered by ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics. Download the ASAP app today. Coming up, head coach Brian Kelly discusses the week ahead for LSU Fighting Tiger football. But first, from inside the Capital One LSU Sports Radio Network studios, here are former Tiger Gordy Rush and the voice of your Fighting Tigers, Chris Blair.
Good Monday morning to you. We're here on the campus of Louisiana State University. Another Brian Kelly press conference delivered to you by ASAP. Tigers take care of business on senior night inside Tiger Stadium, a 41-10 winner over UAB. Brian Kelly will address the media previewing the season finale, the regular season finale against Texas A&M over in College Station on Saturday night. I am Hunt Palmer. Chris Blair working down in the Cayman Islands. The Tigers are taking care of business right now against Illinois State, joined by Gordy Rush. Gordy, have you thawed out from Saturday night?
I have thawed out. It's been an interesting 2 weeks, dating back to walking onto the field in Fayetteville with a cup of coffee, watching them water down the ice. And
Which made more ice, correct?
It did make more ice. And then, of course, the sideways rain, and it got a little chilly in the second half, but good to go for the show.
I'm glad to be here. Look, the Tigers, it was an empty stadium, basically. It was terrible weather. You're playing an out-of-conference game for the first time in 6 weeks, but they did take care of business. A little bit of a special teams blunder early in the game that allowed UAB to get on the board, but LSU totally controlled it from that point forward.
They did. Brian Kelly talked about mental toughness after the game in his post-game press conference, and that being defined is coming out here and doing your job, doing what you're supposed to, when a lot of people in college football struggled to do so. It was a rough weekend when you look around college football. Michigan and Ohio State played close ball games. South Carolina upset Tennessee. A lot of non-conference games like the one in College Station, which were too close, closer than they should have been. But yet LSU was able to come in here with the right focus, play a respectable football team in UAB, this good football team that's having a rough year, lost a lot of close ball games. They played focus, and the outcome was what it should have been.
Look, I was a little bit concerned with the offense against Arkansas. Just never got into a rhythm the entire game, and you wonder, okay, maybe Barry Odom cracked the code a little bit here, dropping everybody, Spy and Jaden Daniels, but I don't know what UAB tried to do. It didn't work. Jaden Daniels goes for 297 yards through the air, another 111 on the ground, and LSU was on cruise control on offense.
And I like the approach from Mike Denbrock and the Denbrock and the offensive staff for LSU. They wanted to get Daniels comfortable early. They came out throwing the football, despite the slick field, despite the rain, despite it was cold. They got out there and made that a priority, and Daniels got comfortable. And as Daniels gets into a rhythm, this offense follows suit, and they did that.
Running back is a little bit of an issue depth-wise now. We learned Armani Goodwin's going to be out for the year, so I'm assuming Brian Kelly will talk about that a little bit later. But they had a safety plan running back at the end of the game.
Yeah, I had to pull out the depth chart from the back of my back pocket to see, and I thought he was a safety, and I saw a little bit of Nick Demas as well out there as well. Now, no doubt, I think Josh Williams was one of those situations where you hold him out. He could have gone if necessary, but you want to hold him, make sure he's healthy against Texas A&M. And then, Noah Cain has a fantastic game. He primarily been the short yardage or goal line sort of specialist for him. I stepped up and ran the ball well between the tackles. And then he's going to talk a little bit about John Emery. I'm sure he's going to get asked. John Emery has put the ball on the ground the last couple of games, lost 2 of them, and that's something you got to correct. That'll get you beat in a close football game.
I was sending you a few texts. I was getting some texts. Where's Kayshawn? Why is Kayshawn out there? Sounds like just a little bit sick last week, and we expect to be ready to go this week.
So it surprised me when I got the text from you because he went through pregame warm-ups. They decided to keep him him back there. I assume anytime the coach said he had the flu, he probably wanted to get some fluids in him. And then as I was coming out, he was getting dressed, right? And he was putting his pads on. I don't think he came out. Everybody had those big jackets on. LSU didn't need him, so it made no sense to put him out there. If indeed he had the flu, but he should be back for Texas A&M.
Defensively, UAB, you knew was going to come out and try to run the football. Dwayne McBride led the nation in rushing entering the game, and you look up at the end of the ball game, he carries it 13 times for 34 yards. LSU put that UAB rushing attack in a bottle.
They did, and look, a lot of good coaches, I mean, especially at UAB, they came out and scripted 2 or 3 series and came out throwing the football, did what LSU didn't expect them, a lot of play-action pass. They were able to get the ball to the tight end on a delayed wheel route and gave LSU some fits early in the football game and got their 10 points. And then UAB thought they could settle down and run the football, and they had opened some alleys up, and that was not the case. Again, Matt House, I thought, did a wonderful job of dictating pace, dictating tempo and what he wanted to do to UAB, and took the running lanes down, forced them to throw the football, and they're not a throwing football team. They had a rough night doing it.
They sure did. Greg Penn led the way for LSU with 8 tackles, including a tackle for loss. I thought a very cool moment in the game. Ollie Gay, with his parents there for the first time as an LSU Tiger, gets a sack on senior night, and really the entire defense played a good ball game.
Defense played well, and you know, to me, when you stop a spread running team like that's using a lot of this 11 personnel, a chipper is what they call it's a new age for this little H-back running back. You really have to be sound in your run fits. And we've seen this defense from the Florida State game where they had a lot of mistakes in the run fits. And in the last couple of weeks against some really good running teams. Ole Miss was a good running team. Arkansas is a good running team. UAB is a good running team. Really solid and focused on their run fits, especially again on a night where, you know, it's tough to focus when it's cold and wet.
LSU's done a really good job against a lot of really good running backs this year. When you mentioned some of the teams there, but Rocket Sanders of Arkansas couldn't get going against LSU, had 46 yards. You look at Montreal Johnson of Florida, had 57 yards. You look at Tank Bigsby, who's a great back at Auburn, had 45 yards. LSU, for the most part this year, has done a good job against the run. Really saved the Tennessee game, but nobody runs with the tempo that Tennessee does, so it's not likely that anybody's going to duplicate that moving forward.
No, I agree. Look, especially a new defensive coordinator, new personnel. I mean, Perkins is fit in at that nickel role, what have you, as a true freshman. And you know, he's limited in his knowledge of the total Matt House defense. And then especially to get 2 new safeties to me, to get Brooks and Fouché, they both came from Arkansas, that they're running that defense back there off the hash. I think it's really speaks to Matt House and what a job he and his staff have done in coaching this defense up.
Tigers improved in 9-2. They'll look for a 10th win coming up Saturday in College Station. Tiger fans, make sure to download the ASAP app to get all of your game day needs delivered right to your door. ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics. Hunt Palmer and Gordy Rush getting you ready for the Brian Kelly press conference. We'll come back and preview the Aggies next on the LSU Sports Radio Network.
Albertsons is making shopping and saving easier than ever. Check out Albertsons For You in our mobile app, where you can shop for groceries and save weekly with digital coupons all in one place. With Albertsons For You, you can earn rewards points every time you shop and redeem them for free groceries. Brand new Albertsons For You members receive $5 off their next $25 purchase just for signing up. Download the Albertsons app or go to albertsons.com to sign up. Albertsons, fresh food, local flavors.
Support your LSU Tigers with Hancock Whitney, the official bank of LSU Athletics. From game day to the offseason, Hancock Whitney LSU credit and debit cards are a big win for any Tiger fan. Want to get your paws on these cards? Well, apply online or visit HancockWhitney.com/LSU. Hancock Whitney Bank, member FDIC. All accounts subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions may apply.
The holiday season is upon us, but if you're feeling low energy, if your sex drive is down, if you aren't sleeping well, and if you just don't feel like you used to, maybe the holidays just aren't as exciting for you as they once were. This is Jeff for the Baton Rouge Men's Clinic, and if you're feeling like this, you very well might be suffering from low testosterone. But while it might sound a bit like bad news, the truth is that low T can be successfully treated in most men, and at the Baton Rouge Men's Clinic, we're experts in treating this condition. Low T treatments are highly effective. If you're like most guys, you'll notice a difference in just a few weeks, and the results can be life-changing. Improved sleep patterns, greater gains in the gym, more energy, better mental clarity, and your sex drive will likely improve as well. So call us today and give yourself the gift of a new you this season. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 225-323-8000. That's 225-323-8000. Or go to BatonRougeMen'sClinic.com. Baton Rouge Men's Clinic, the leader in men's sexual health.
Coach Kelly is just moments away from previewing the week for the Fighting Tigers. This is the Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered by ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics. Once again, here are Gordy and Chris.
Back here inside the Capital One Studios on the campus of Louisiana State University, getting you ready for the Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered to you by ASAP, Hunt Palmer, and Gordy Rush. Chris Blair down in the Cayman Islands, watching LSU play Illinois State right now. The score, LSU 68, Illinois State 51. Tigers got out to a quick start and have not looked back in Game 1 down there in the Caymans. Hopefully a quick start for the Tigers on the gridiron on Saturday night inside College Station. Tigers looking for their 10th win and to finish the regular season in style. Texas A&M basically wants to get this in the rearview mirror. It has been a brutal go for Jimbo Fisher's Aggies. Lost 6 in a row for the first time in 50 years. Finally broke that streak last week with a win over UMass. And this is kind of their bowl game at this point.
It is their bowl game, and you're wondering if there's enough left in the tank for this team to show up. And that's why I thought the Auburn win over Texas A&M was so big, and that eliminated Texas A&M from bowl eligibility. So this one, the situation was here in Tiger Stadium for LSU. They were playing for a chance to go to the bowl game. That's out now with 7 losses already on the season. It's always a big game. The Texas A&M has a tremendous amount of tradition. They play. Thanksgiving's always a special time there. They're going to show up. It's not going to be the crowd that you saw for UMass. The question is Jimbo Fisher going to get this team focused and ready to play LSU?
They're on their third quarterback of the season. Will be the freshman Connor Wigman, who's been out there the last couple of weeks after a bout of the flu had him out from the game a couple of weeks earlier. It's a limited offense. They have been injured. They have had suspensions, and now they're on quarterback number 3. But we know what Jimbo wants to do if he has his druthers.
Yeah, and they want to run the football. And A-Chain, I believe, sat out last week.
He did. Did not look good in pregame warmups.
Right. And so questionable whether or not he's going to go. In fact, when you looked at their injury list against UMass, it's what you expected. If in doubt, you're going to hold him out for this ball game. Who's going to play becomes the first thing. Even at that point, they've been really limited in their passing game. They've struggled all season long. That close game against App State, I think, kind of tipped everybody's hand that was going to be the situation. But on the other hand, there was enough team there. Enough personnel, enough players to have a chance to beat Alabama up in Tuscaloosa. So there's plenty of talent there. Are they going to be able to pull it all together?
Yeah, their offensive line has really, really struggled. That would bode well for LSU with the pass rushers and what they've done at the point of attack this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. And especially a team like that where you have a quarterback that is not necessarily dynamic. I mean, you think of in terms of athletic-wise, he's not Jefferson. He's not Richardson. He's certainly not Bryce Young. And if you're not going to move your quarterback against Perkins and Ojulari and the speed out there, it can really be a long evening. I think what you said earlier, if LSU can get out to a fast start, score some points. A&M can't score with LSU, and you wonder if some of those players that have had enough of these seasons check out a little early.
Yeah, I mean, you just go through the list of the guys they don't have. We'll see if they have A-Chain. Anaya Smith lost for the season. He's their most dynamic playmaker on the outside. Evan Stewart, their 5-star freshman, did not play in the last game. They're hopeful to get him back this week. The offensive line's been banged up. You're on your third quarterback. It's been a real rough go for Jimbo in that offense. DJ Durkin coordinates that defense that has really given up a lot against the run. That started in a game early in the year against Sam Houston. App State ran it really, really well, and most teams have kind of punished them on the ground.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to be interested to see the way that Durkin is going to try and scheme this LSU offense. UAB didn't really replicate a lot of things Arkansas did. And I was really intrigued what Barry Odom did. He kept everybody wide. He spied Jaden Daniels. He wanted to take Jaden Daniels out of the football game and force LSU to run between the tackles, and Daniels had an off-passing attack. Will Durkin do some of the same things that Odom did 2 weeks ago?
That's the thing that concerned me, is it looked like Barry Odom may have cracked the code a little bit, because Jaden Daniels, and I don't know if it was the turnovers early or what, but just never looked sure of himself the rest of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And for LSU, if they're going to stay wide, and it was a 3-3-5 wide, the linebackers stayed wide and stayed outside and tried to contain Daniels with that spy, as you mentioned, then you've got to be able to run the ball between the tackles. So hopefully that means you get Josh Williams, right, back for that game. You've had the talk with John Emery. You're going to have multiple running backs to run the ball there. And I still go back to, you still got to be able to throw the football. If they're going to play that sort of defense and waste a man in spy and take him out of coverage, you need to take advantage of that.
It's so interesting, because you figure that Texas A&M should come out fired up in this game. It's their last game. It's LSU. They don't love LSU. It should be a pretty big crowd, I would think, because Texas A&M pretty much always has a big crowd unless it's 40 degrees and raining and you're playing UMass. I think the energy level will be there to start the game. The question is, can Texas A&M sustain it because of all the suspensions, all the injuries, all the losses they've had? And the transfer portal opens up pretty quickly after a season where you lose as many games as they have. It's twofold. If LSU gets off to a good start, one, A&M's not really built to come back throwing the football. Two, where's the effort? Where's the energy level in the stadium? Can you kind of shut the door on this thing?
Yeah, Thanksgiving weekend. I mean, there's some Aggies that are having hard discussions right now. They're going to make some business decisions whether they want to make the trip up to College Station for this football game. But I think you're on point with that. Are they going to be able to respond if LSU gets up 10-0, 14-0? Quick start's everything for the Tigers in this one.
And the Tigers got some help over the weekend with Tennessee losing. I think that's probably not something that Brian Kelly would bring up to his team about national championship implications and whatnot, but we're talking to fans right now. That's a shot of life, because Tennessee may have been a tough thing for LSU to get by because of what happened inside Tiger Stadium back a couple of months ago. So now you're kind of looking like you've got a chance here if you can take care of your business.
Right, and Brian Kelly is absolutely not talking about that in a team meeting, but for you and I, we can talk about that. Look, I think if LSU takes care of business against Texas A&M and Georgia, things are going to work out, and that's all that you can worry about going forward.
I'm just worried about this game, Gordy. I think you've heard me enough to know I'm not a big Aggie fan, and it just scares me a little bit that they can get up and try to just throw cold water on this whole thing. LSU did it to Texas A&M 12 months ago with a skeleton crew team, and they found a way to get it done at the end.
But it was different. The Ed Ogeron was not coming back. The defensive changes they made during the open week, and all of a sudden this defense should have beat Alabama, could have beat Arkansas, and they were playing at a high level, and they were playing for a bowl, albeit we didn't know how exciting the bowl it was going to be, and got a chance to go play Kansas State and Texas with 39 scholarship people. But I'm with you. I think we'll see. I think we'll see A&M show up for this game.
And the other side of the Tennessee loss is it kind of maybe opens the door for LSU to go to the Sugar Bowl if things don't go the way they want in Atlanta in a couple of weeks, because Tennessee was likely going to be ranked higher than LSU in the Sugar Bowl, takes the highest ranked SEC team that doesn't make the playoffs. So a little light at the end of the tunnel there as well for Tiger fans. Maybe a trip back to the Superdome.
I think get a little better taste in our mouth after that game. And wouldn't it be nice and if Kansas State, you get a rematch with Kansas State with full scholarship
and
people.
an actual quarterback and not a wide receiver who's out there running around?
I think I would enjoy that, because the Kansas State folks acted like they won the national championship in that game. So I, for one, would like that rematch.
I certainly would too. I think a lot of people around here would. I want to remind you, Tiger fans, make sure to download the ASAP app to get all your game day needs delivered right to your door. ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics. Hunt Palmer and Gordy Rush getting you ready for the Brian Kelly press conference. He will address the media here very shortly. He's probably going to recap the UAB game to an extent and then get ready for Texas A&M. Going to answer some questions, I'm sure, about some injuries, some sickness, and we'll get all that taken care of here when he takes the podium in a couple of minutes. Gordy, this team it's an interesting one to me because they've won so many games and they should have established a great amount of trust, but I'm still getting nervous when they take the field for some reason. They're 9-2. They've played great football, but I guess it just hasn't quite looked as dominant as some of LSU's Western Division Championship, SEC Championship teams. Where are you when you look at this team?
I'm with you. I think a huge factor again in this LSU team being successful and winning the football game is their ability to get Jaden Daniels in rhythm and get him playing in confidence. And to me, especially early in the season against Mississippi State, the slow starts against Mississippi State, slow start against Florida State, there are times that this offense can look so disjointed. And when he gets going, when he's in rhythm, the offense follows suit. And I'm with you. I mean, there's still that question mark, and DJ Durkin's a good defensive coordinator, and they've got players. They haven't had the year that they wanted to, but they potentially have the people to make it difficult.
Daniels is the guy that makes the thing go. There's no doubt about it. I remember sitting in the dome in the first quarter, he took off running. I went, whoa, he's like a wide receiver fast. He's not like a dual threat quarterback. Like when he gets going, he's going.
He's very deceiving when you see him out there. He's moving a heck of a lot faster. And I think he does a nice job of recognizing when there's defenders that have their back turned to the football and when is the correct time to pull that football down.
And the question, he's just been indecisive at times. The Arkansas game, that's what comes to mind. When he's decisive, like he was on Saturday, the ball comes out pretty quickly. You know the kind of playmakers LSU's got on the outside. And so that's when the whole thing gets rolling, when he's able to just get rid of the ball very quickly.
When he gets running, you can ill afford as a defensive coordinator to play press coverage and gamble, because if you miss and he gets through you, that's 20, 25 yards explosive plays. So a lot of defensive coordinators have backed up and given those receivers room. If you give those receivers room, you take those passes. And I think that's the balance that LSU found, starting with Florida and Ole Miss, that the DBs backed up. They got them the football quickly in space.
Update from the Cayman Islands. LSU has a 20-point lead with 2.5 minutes to play. Tigers 75, Illinois State 55 in Game 1 of the Cayman Island Classic. I want to remind you and set the stage for Saturday, Thanksgiving weekend. LSU and Texas A&M will kick off at 6 o'clock. That means at 4 o'clock, myself, Brandon Taylor, and Marlon Favorite will be with you for LSU Game Day. We'll be with you for 90 minutes before we toss things to the broadcast team over in College Station. I don't think you have to bring any snow gear or rain gear this week. It appears we're going to be in pretty good shape on Saturday.
That's good, because I have to go exchange my big black boots. They actually broke, these black Nike Air snowmobiles or whatever they are. They were punctured after 7 years, and they had good. Remember the Tennessee game where Eddie O was out there jumping in the tunnel? Before at halftime, I was standing next to him, so I had to get new boots.
Let's go into the Lawton Room. Head coach Brian Kelly.
Ready. We'll start off with a quick recap of the weekend. As I mentioned, our guys showed great mental toughness in the way that they were accountable for their play, right, and doing their job. And certainly a game where not an SEC opponent, but really like the way that they prepared and played the game the right way for 4 quarters, and in less than ideal conditions, not a full crowd, coming off of an incredible environment 2 weeks prior at Alabama. All those things usually equal into a change in the way you think. But their consistent application of our process has allowed them to play each game with a faceless opponent and go out and do their job the right way, and was really proud of them. So I wanted to publicly say that again. Now moving forward, we take on an SEC opponent, which is well known to all LSU fans in Texas A&M, and certainly when we talk about a talented football team, this is arguably as talented as a football team as we'll see all year. They're young in some areas, but it doesn't take away from the talent that they have on the field. Jimbo obviously is an outstanding football coach. I've gone against him when he was at Florida State. Certainly this is their game, right? I mean, last one that they play this year against LSU, their rival, they'll play their absolute best against us, and we'll have to meet and exceed, our play. Certainly outstanding players on both sides of the ball. Devin Achane, the running back, is outstanding. The receiver, one of the best in the country. again, Stewart is a guy that you have to know where he is at all times. Defensively, young and talented, outstanding defensive line, run to the football. Again, great atmosphere, and one that our football team is certainly looking forward to, and has, again, from our perspective, handled themselves all year in the right way, and will prepare accordingly for an outstanding, talented football team. That look, they don't have the wins that they wanted, but all they need is one, and that's to beat LSU. So we'll have to prepare very well and perform well on Saturday against this football team. So with that, we'll open up the questions.
Coach, just on the offensive line, how are y'all working Garrett Dellinger back in, and just, what's the update on the offensive line going into this game?
Yeah, so Dellinger got some playing time. I thought he contributed nicely to the rotation, playing at the guard position. As you know, we started Martinez at the center position. I thought he did a nice job. Again, I think, Dellinger's best position is and more comfortable at the guard position than he is at the center position, so we'll continue to work him in.
Hey, Brian, you mentioned coaching against Jimbo. Did it 4 times when you were at Notre Dame. What are the hallmark of Jimbo teams, and what's it like coaching against, preparing against him?
Always talented. He's obviously a great recruiter, and he's talented. He's had talented football teams every year that I've gone against him. Again, the calling card has always been outstanding offenses, the ability to play aggressive defense, and just good football teams. And they've always been great games, and look forward to another great matchup again.
Brian, y'all have the chance to win 10 games in regular season. It would be the second time that's done here since 2012. Obviously, you've done that a few times already. Do you find that there's anything significant for a program just to be able to reach that benchmark?
No, I don't think they give you any ticket take parades or anything that's but 10 wins, is certainly a benchmark, I think, and when people look back on seasons, I think it does a lot in terms of solidify your postseason opportunities. I think it puts you in a different category. But I don't think you go into the season going, hey, we got to get to 10. I think you go into the season thinking about, winning the SEC West. This is an important football game because we want to continue to get better as a football team as we go into the SEC West Championship game. So it's important for us because each week for us is we're building something within our program. As I mentioned, the UAB game may not have been as important to other people outside the walls, but inside the walls, that was a huge game for us in terms of, doing our job, the way the job needs to be done, when it needed to be done, and that was really important for us. That was a big hurdle for us. And this is another one. It's going on the road against a really talented team that has nothing to lose, and you have to play well because they will play up to you. So I think we just think more terms of challenges within the program than particular wins at this point.
Coach Kelly, to your left over here. Just what does the holiday week present as far as challenges to get your team prepared on the road? Just kind of take us through your schedule and how it works for you.
Well, I think the same, challenges on the road, are there for you. Thursday we handle a little bit different. We'll practice in the morning, but we'll have Thanksgiving dinner together. We'll bring the coaches' families in. The players will be with us and share Thanksgiving together. We'll release all of the non-travel players after practice in the morning so they can be with their families. And then really from there it just becomes a normal Friday for us where we'll have meetings at noon and then, board the plane around 3, 4 o'clock and get into College Station around 6 o'clock. So then it just becomes business as usual. Yes, it's just the Thursday really that alters just a little bit.
Hey, Coach, when you were named the head coach at that podium, I think you were asked about discipline, and you said it was going to be on the players. The team was going to need to discipline themselves. What players or what leaders have you seen that have emerged in that regard and taken ownership of the team?
Well, as you know, we break our team into SWAT leaders, and we rotate that throughout the entire football team. I've never been really a believer that there's just 3 or 4 captains and they just that's it. I like roving leaders. I like that to come from all forms, from freshmen, sophomores, juniors. For example, some of our great leaders have been, Mekhi Wingo, who's a transfer from Missouri, who's just a sophomore. But we've gotten great leadership from, veteran seniors as well, and Mike Jones, who's, not even in a starting position right now, but means a lot to our football team. So I think it's important that everybody serves some kind of leadership role to get true accountability across the board. And so that's kind of been, for me, how you build that accountability and discipline, that personal discipline, when you share it throughout the entire football program and in each class as well.
Coach, now that you've gone through this league for just about a year, you got one more regular season game, anything that maybe was a preconceived notion of yours that has kind of been erased? Just your thoughts on going through this thing the first time.
No, I think it's lived up to what I had thought. I mean, it's difficult. Each and every week is a challenge. And you look at the Arkansas game, we played, a team that you saw what they did this past weekend to Ole Miss. I mean, you have to play well. And, a lot of people looked at our 13-10 game and kind of, said, what's wrong with them? There's nothing wrong with our team. It's each and every week the challenges that you get in this conference. You better be ready to play. There's no week off, and that's exhausting. That's tiring. That's why I was so proud of the performance of our football team this past weekend against a dangerous UAB team that can run the football as an outstanding back. That requires effort. That requires grit and toughness to stop a run team like that. So, no, I don't know that anything has really surprised me as much as I think, being in this business as long as I have, I think I got to know the SEC and how difficult it is from week to week, and it's lived up to that.
Hey, Coach. Just wonder if we could get an update on Josh Williams and if you think he'll be back this week. And then Noah Cain's season opportunity, that opportunity last weekend, just what does his role look like moving forward, I guess?
Yeah, I think Noah Cain has helped himself, right? I mean, he's not flashy. I don't think he's going to be a guy that makes a ton of people miss, but does he really have to, right? He plays with low pads. He's physical. He's smart. He catches the ball coming out of the backfield. He's reliable in pass protection, and he's tough to bring down. I mean, I just think I mentioned 4 or 5 things that are pretty good to have. He doesn't have, maybe some of those, wow factors, but steady and physical, and I think he leads our team in rushing touchdowns in terms of the running back position. So it's been extremely effective for us. Josh is making progress. As we mentioned, he had a knee sprain. We want to be very careful and take our time and bring him back accordingly, but each and every day he's made the kind of progress necessary to hope that he could play this weekend.
You talked about Mekhi Wingo, but what points of growth have you seen him and Jaquelin Roy this season? Obviously, the defensive tackle position was not very deep after the loss of Mason Smith, and just how have they enabled others to succeed around them?
Well, Mekhi is the same guy every day. And in terms of his work ethic, in terms of what he does in the classroom, he brings a great role model to that room on a day-to-day basis. I think J. Roy is really steadied himself in terms of what he's done on a day-to-day basis. On the practice field look, he was banged up a little bit earlier in the season, had some back issues, and I thought there was some inconsistency early on, but he's really steadied himself to give us really good play here down the stretch. And again, when you're better in November, especially at that position, which, as you know, is a high contact position, says a lot about how he's taking care of himself and doing the right things. And I think both of them are different players, but I think both of them have really, down the stretch here, have been really important for us.
Brian, you mentioned Noah's intelligence. We interviewed Greg Brooks after the game, Noah as well, and I was really struck by how well they carried themselves throughout the interview, answered the questions, that were asked, those kinds of things. How underrated is intelligence in football, and how much has it been a key to this year's success?
Well, you bring up both those guys. They were guys that we brought in from the transfer portal as well. And I think, many people have asked us many times about the transfer portal. I think it's one of the areas that can really get you in trouble or really can get you out of trouble. And I think it got us out of trouble because we took great character kids that could represent our program in a positive way, both on and off the field. And I think you bring up the point is that both of those guys immediately helped us build the right standards in the program and have obviously been real consistent performers for us, and in particular, Noah down the stretch here for us. So I think when you go into the transfer portal, you better know what you're getting. And if you don't, then shame on you. And I think we knew we were getting with those two kids.
Ryan, kind of, I guess in some ways building off this and looking ahead, the transfer portal windows are going to open up pretty soon after the SEC championship game, especially with y'all playing that game. How do you manage those kinds of conversations with players and just as a staff getting ready for that window to open up?
Yeah, so those are ongoing. You have to kind of balance them, accordingly through the season. We used a lot of the bye week to kind of get ahead of some of that stuff. Some of it is you have to react, but you're hoping to be less reactionary and much more proactive in that. But I think everybody knows what those dates are, and some of those conversations will have to take place, once the window does open up.
I think it's safe to say that you all have been a pretty healthy, relatively healthy team throughout the year.
Yeah.
To what do you attribute that? This is probably the fewest major injuries that I can remember in a season in a long time.
So putting together a team that represents that end goal, and that team is, our sports medicine team. It's our nutrition. It's our strength and conditioning. It's all of those. It's sports science. It's that whole team working together on a day-to-day basis. It's educating them and making sure that our players understand that if you want to be better in November, you better have a comprehensive plan that takes 365 days into account. So January and February and March, you're not out doing crazy things. And what I mean by crazy things, that you're overtraining, but you're training appropriately. Your football team, so when you get to these days, that you don't have soft tissue injuries, that you don't have injuries that keep your kids out of practice. And I think it's how you practice, making sure that your players take care of themselves. I can tell you that in our spring, we didn't know how to practice, and we learned how to practice the right way. So we would be at this point and have the players available in the month of November and getting stronger as we went along.
There was intrigue when you took this job about you recruiting in the SEC, and a lot of your first 2 months in the job was recruiting Harold Perkins, I'm sure, from when he was committed to A&M. I guess, what do you remember about that stretch and kind of getting Harold Perkins to LSU?
Well, I remember everybody being up in arms when he committed to A&M, and I remember telling everybody to be patient, and that if we just be patient and we keep at it, we'll see what happens. And I think in recruiting, a lot of this is, early on here is just keep at it, be patient, keep doing it the right way, keep presenting who we are and what our plan is for your development. And you have a chance to get anybody to come here and pull our base, as I said before, make sure that we know who the great players are in this state. So I think we've done pretty good in making sure that those things are occurring.
Coach, I've had some people ask about Quincy Wiggins and how he's progressing and what is he learning and how is he coming along as a local talented kid.
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously we've made the decision to redshirt him. He got to his 4-game threshold, and we pulled him from, obviously dressing, and certainly that was the message I think that was sent to everybody. he has really flourished in the last month. The light's gone on. I think what we had early on was a young player that, you know him as well as anybody from being here locally and following him in high school. He had not a lot high school experience even, hadn't played a lot of football. I think coming down with us and me getting the chance to see him every day on scout team, he's learning how to play the game the right way, and pretty excited about him moving forward.
Coach, what do you see from Derek Davis? I know the running back position was banged up last week, and what do you see from him just to get some carries later on, just during the week, make that move from safety to running back?
Should have moved him there sooner. I think what we saw that was his last game. He's at the 4-game threshold, and we want to preserve his year because we saw some talent there. So for the Derek Davis fans out there, you won't see him again. He's done for the year. But yeah, pretty excited about his future, and we want to preserve the years that he has left, and it doesn't make sense now to put him in a game and have that be the 5th game. That's not fair to him. He made a decision to help us out, and we're going to make sure we help him on his end too.
Coach, given that you guys never really given that you didn't really need to have to be as aggressive in the portal when you were at Notre Dame, what sort of lessons did you take from this past season when you had to be more aggressive in the portal that you can take into this year?
Well, it's kind of what I've alluded to. I think any time that you go in and take transfers that have been in other programs, you got to make sure they're not carrying a lot of baggage, and you got to make sure that they understand the standards within your program, what your expectations are, clearly, that there's no promises other than the things that you want accomplished within your program. And it's just clearly communicated as to, what the things that you're looking for in making this transfer. As you know, a lot of them were from the state of Louisiana. And so, if we can continue down that road where there is a connection to LSU in the state, we want that as well.
Ryan, this just in, Matt House made the list of semifinalists for the Broyles Award. So.
Deservingly so. Yeah. Deservingly so. Thank you.
Yeah. And second, I'm still learning about you a little bit. The Texas A&M player Jalen Preston said something colorful about trying to ruin your team's season when you play a couple of weeks ago. Do you subscribe to bulletin board material? I kind of figured you're more of an inward-focused kind of.
Yeah. So
guy.
if he was going to be playing for us and he was one of my players, I'd right now probably discipline him. But for us, it's really about our preparation and how we prepare is going to make a bigger difference than what anybody says about us. So, I kind of got through that a long time ago, that what people say really has little to do on how you play. Look, we know it's a rivalry game. We know it's A&M. Our guys know that. They don't need any more motivation to play this game. So that's a distraction. We'll focus on what will get us to play better, and that's our preparation, and we'll focus on that.
Coach, kind of piggybacking off what Scott said, usually around here when a defensive coordinator has a lot of success, people try to cherry pick him. Are you concerned about that at all?
No. If Matt House gets an opportunity where he thinks he's going to be better for it, I will help him in any way possible. I think that's part of this profession. He's done an outstanding job. I don't know that Matt House came here to be, the defensive coordinator for a year. He's going to have to run through his family and his wife. I think they like it here, but that's up to Matt. But I would never be in the way of any of our coaches if they have an opportunity to move on to be a head coach. I would fully support them.
You mentioned the great job Jaden did this past weekend. You played him a little bit longer than I was expecting. Just your thoughts on him trying to, keep up his, efficiency and production, and just where he is at this point in the season with 2 games remaining.
Yeah, so I think more than anything else, it's about him continuing to prepare the right way that allows him to play assertive and aggressively. And that, I think, is where we are with our quarterback. I felt really good. I know he felt good about his preparation. He'll need to do that again this week. I'm not going to give any excuses as to why he didn't prepare as well or couldn't prepare as well, but that Arkansas week he had the flu, he was sick, it wasn't the kind of preparation necessary. It was great this week, and we're going to have to stay on top of it again because we can clearly see when he prepares well, he plays well.
Hey, Coach, as best you can tell, why has A&M struggled so much this year?
It's a young football team. It's a very talented football team, but it's young. And so, you can see at times it is really scary. And then sometimes, there's a loss there of maybe some focus. But this is if they put it all together, it's not a team you want to be around when they put it all together. It's a very talented football team.
Hey, Coach, right up here to your left. So it seems like in the past couple of weeks, a good bit of your players have gotten sick with the flu. But Harold Perkins played his best game. You said Jaden could have prepared better. What's you think's like how motivated they are to play, even though they have to sometimes play through illnesses?
Yeah, I think they all want to play, regardless. Damari Tolan had 102 temperature on Friday. So we pulled him out of the hotel, and his fever broke, and we were able to play him. Kayshawn was sick. He tried to play. We gave an IV. He couldn't answer the bell. I mean, everybody's individually different, in terms of how they get through it. But they all want to play, and they all want to fight through it. And generally, we've been very lucky that it's been a quick-moving flu in terms of 24 hours. And once they get through it, they've been able to bounce back and play for us. Great. Thank you.
Together, we are partners, setting a new standard for health. Together, we prove that no matter how battle-tested we are, our spirit remains undefeated. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU are creating transformational change and impacting Louisiana with a new standard for healthcare, research, and education. Together, Our Lady of the Lake and LSU are champions for Louisiana. Together, we roar. Learn more at ololrmc.com/LSU.
Welcome back to our podcast here in the Bayous in Louisiana. We are looking for the exclusive multiplier games from the lottery with Louisiana's very first $20 scratch-off and a top prize of $500,000. Wait a tick. We found it! Hold on. What's that sound? I think I'll get a closer look. Wait!
Hey, that's the Explorer! He found the multiplier games!
Thank you, everyone.
Try all 5 multiplier games. You could win up to $500,000. Must be at least 21 to purchase.
Hey, so what's This is Blake Maggio in our GMFS Prairieville office. My team and I are here to help you feel confident and educated from application to close. With new loan limits, it's time to start investing in yourself. Call me, Blake Maggio, today at 225-229-4872. That's 229-4872 or online at gmfsmortgage.com/blake.maggio. GMFS.
NMLS number 109535, branch NMLS number 1327554, equal housing lender. Mortgage is originated by GMFS, NMLS number 64997, are subject to credit and property approval.
This is Charles Hanniger for Supreme Rice. As we're getting ready for Thanksgiving, I'm reminded of all the different dishes that you can make with Supreme Rice for the holiday season. Listen, I'm a big rice dressing person, but if you go to the website at supremerice.com, you're going to find some unique recipes that you won't find anywhere else. Supreme Rice. Support our Louisiana farmers. Down in Crawley, Louisiana, all of our Supreme Rice is grown, milled, and processed in Southwest Louisiana since the 1930s. So this Thanksgiving, make it Supreme Rice. For more information and great recipes, go to supremerice.com.
This is the Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered by ASAP.
Back here inside the Capital One studios. just outside of historic Tiger Stadium. It's the Brian Kelly press conference delivered to you by ASAP. Hunt Palmer here with you. Chris Blair just got finished up calling an LSU victory down in the Cayman Islands. Tigers 77, Illinois State 61. So, and the 16-point victory for Matt McMahon's crew that moves to 3-0. They will play again tomorrow down there in Paradise. A couple of highlights from the Brian Kelly press conference for you. As you mentioned, Scott Rabelais asked a question there. Broyles Award announced as semifinalist, and Matt House, LSU defensive coordinator, was named a semifinalist. Brian Kelly saying that that's well-deserved, and I think all of us would agree that it certainly is. LSU's defense has played excellent football this season. Mentioned a couple of guys who will not play moving forward. Quincy Wiggins and Derek Davis, both of those guys have played their 4 games. They will redshirt in their first year here in Baton Rouge. A little bit of an update there on LSU running back Josh Williams, who suffered from a knee sprain. They're going to move him questionably this week, and we'll see if he can give it a go on Saturday night in Kyle Field. That game between LSU and Texas A&M will kick off at 6 o'clock on Saturday. That means at 4 o'clock we will hit the airwaves on LSU Game Day presented by 3 Olives. It'll be myself, Hunt Palmer, Brandon Taylor, Marlon Favorite for 90 minutes getting you ready for LSU and the Aggies. Tigers looking for their 10th win and head on over to Atlanta for the SEC Championship game in style. So have a great Thanksgiving week. Enjoy your holiday with friends and family. We're back in action on Saturday, cranking up the pregame show at 4 o'clock for LSU and Texas A&M. You've been listening to the Brian Kelly press conference delivered to you by ASAP right here on the LSU Sports Radio Network.
This has been the Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered by ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics. Download the ASAP app today.
Anytime. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Sandegriff.
We are 30 minutes away from soccer. I just wanted to, because Hester wasn't here today, and Gordy's not on every day. I had to do something, right? I mean, nothing gets it going like USA versus Wales. Soccer guy, Mario?
Not really. A little bit. I know Wales has Gareth Bale, who's a good player.
You just named one more player for Wales than I could have. Maybe we should have let you do a you're going to do a soccer segment later in the week.
All right.
You know why? Because I don't want to do it.
Okay. I'm down for that. Honestly, this is the few times that I do get into it. The World Cup.
No, I do get in the World Cup. When it's in the summer, this thing is made for the summer, but because of the location, it's 175 degrees there in the summer, and they can't play in the summer. Maybe they could have had it somewhere else. Hey,
yeah,
be into it a little bit more. I'm gonna watch. here in a little bit. All right, Brian Kelly. So what did we take out of this? I'm gonna do the A&M thing. Look, this is gonna go on all week. Are you gonna get their best effort? Or are they gonna lay down? I don't know. He doesn't. Nobody knows. Even Jimbo Fisher, maybe especially Jimbo Fisher, doesn't know. We'll all find that out together. So that storyline is already played. I was interested that Brian Kelly mentioned Devon Achane. Achane is A&M's best player. He's their leading rusher, and I say he's their best player. In the games that I've watched, the times that I've watched, he's been their best player. He was in the last time I saw him, he was in a walking boot pregame against Auburn, and that was 9 days ago. I don't know if he's playing or not. He didn't play the last 2 games. The last game he played was against Florida on February the 5th. I don't know the young man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how bad he's hurt. I'm just saying that he was in a walking boot 9 days ago. And this ain't exactly the game that you would, hey, man, let's get back for that one. All night rehab. I mean, I don't know if he's going to play or not. So we'll see. I want to talk about Matt House here for a second because he was announced as a semifinalist for the Broyles Award, and that's great. I've been extremely impressed with what Matt House has been able to do. He is as good a coach going right now that has made defensive adjustments. You look at LSU's second half defense this year, really second half performances period, but second half defenses. And how many times after an opening drive, you think about the Mississippi State game, you think about what happened against Auburn. Ole Miss didn't score in the second half. Even this past game, touchdown short field on the first drive, field goal drive on the second drive. After that, you can hang it up. There ain't anything else happening here. When House was hired, I said at the time, and I still believe this, that he was the brightest star on the staff, the guy most likely to ascend into a head coaching job if there was some success here. When he got and I knew how badly they wanted him when they decided to wait until the Chiefs season was over last year. I mean, that's a lot. You got to really want somebody to wait that long, and he's proved to be worth the wait. The timing there was such that they could have brought somebody else in, maybe got a jump and recruited. No, this is the guy we wanted. So House is, I said at the time, I said, if things work out here, he's going to be a head coach by the 2025 season. Once I saw him actually coach, I moved that up. I said, probably the 2024 season. I don't think he's maybe quite as hot as Aranda was at the end of the national championship season. Aranda was going up those lists pretty good, but it does remind me a little bit of the end of the 2005 season with Bo Pelini. And Pelini's stock at the beginning of the season wasn't very good. LSU struggled out of the gate, but boy, they got better. And after the 2005 season, Pelini's name was starting to come up a little bit. This is Pelini 1.0. Don't go to the 2.0 here. And then by the end of the sixth season, he was on a lot of lists, and at that point was really able to kind of sit and wait for a job. And then Nebraska, big job, it came up after the 07 season. I don't know if House is where Pelini was at the end of the 5 season, the 6 season, or the 7 season, right? My guess is he's probably somewhere in the middle of that he could be a head coach next year if he wanted to. There's probably a head coaching job that he could have, but that it might not be the exact one he wants. If it is the one he wants, then he's going to go. Point being that you get a good hot assistant at LSU on a successful team, they're going to get other jobs. So if you get Matt House for another year, great. I wouldn't expect anything past that. His whole resume just screams that he is ready to be a head coach. He did this. I mean, you can go down the list. This is exactly how you would want your career path to start. You start out as a graduate assistant at a big college, then you go to a smaller college and you take a full-time staff position. He started out at Michigan State. He was at North Carolina as an assistant to the assistant, a grad assistant. Then he went to Gardner-Webb so he could be a position coach. He was a defensive line coach. Then he got a better job than Gardner-Webb. He went to Buffalo to be the defensive backs coach. Then he got an opportunity to go to the NFL. He spent 3 years in the NFL, not as a full-time assistant coach, because you go from a position coach at a very small school. Then you get a position coach at maybe a group of 5 school, and then you go up to the NFL and you're an assistant to an assistant. And he was assistant to the special teams coach. Then you go back into a Power 5 job as a position coach. He went to Pitt. Then you move up to be the coordinator at a Power 5 group, and he was at Pitt, and then he was again at Kentucky. Then you go back to the NFL to be a position coach. Will Muschamp had a very, very similar career path, minus the NFL stuff until after he left here. But it was go up to the NFL, be a position coach, and then when you come back, you're a defensive coordinator for maybe a year, and a year, maybe 2, and then you're a head coach. He's 44 years old. I mean, it's perfect. Matt House would be if I was an athletic director looking for a head coach, Matt House would be on my list. So if he gets a head coaching job, just know that this is a really attractive place to be a coordinator. The special teams coordinators got jobs. Derek Dooley was a special teams coordinator here. He got the head coaching job at Tennessee. So you can get a job You can get another job after your job here. This is a really good job. You can get an even better job than that. So Matt House up for the Broyles Award, and probably it could be another year. I doubt very seriously that it will be 2. So that's good though. You're not going to keep these guys forever, and frankly, I don't know if I'd want a guy that just said, hey, you know what, I'm good here. As a coordinator, I don't want to be a head coach. I don't want you want those guys that are hungry, the guys that hang around for 25 years as a coordinator on one staff. The guys that have been really good at that, it's a pretty short list. So. And that doesn't even really happen anymore either. That's kind of a thing from the past. Some of the other stuff out of the press conference talked about Derek Davis as a red shirt and Quincy Wiggins as a red shirt. Davis had a handful of carries. Actually looked like he had a little bit of burst. That was a position he got thrust into. So a couple things about Derek Davis going forward as a running back. First of all, he was an excellent running back in high school. He was recruited as a safety, but he could have played running back a lot of places. And out of Pennsylvania, best year there, he had 1,500 yards rushing and 500 yards receiving, and I think it was 29 touchdowns or something like that. So it's not like he's never done it. It could get him to the field faster than what was happening in the secondary. So like that, there's nothing wrong with that. Quincy Wiggins, I watched in spring, and when you walk across an LSU practice field and the team is spread out across 2, maybe 3 practice fields, and you just look at the size, the physicality of some of these guys, it's hard to stand out because they're all big, they're all in shape, they're all at the peak of their athletic performance. Quincy Wiggins stood out. When he stood next to guys like, oh my God. This guy, and Kelly's of course exactly right. He hadn't played a lot of football, and then he had that scooter accident that set him back a little bit. That guy's going to be really, really, really good. But he's redshirting, so you're not going to see him either. Then he talked about baggage out of the portal. This is interesting to me because none of LSU's guys that they got in the portal had really any off-the-field problems at all, except for Joe Fouché, who ended up with some kind of academic snafu, whatever. I went on my little tirade about that when it happened. But you think about the guys that they had that were, besides Fouché, who had the most expectations on them coming out of the portal. Miles Frazier was one. Was recruited by a lot of different places. You're just going to, I heard this when he's just plug him in at left tackle and go. No, he had to move around a little bit. Play a little tackle, play a little guard, played on the right side, played on the left side. Has turned into a really good player. It wasn't automatic. Mekhi Gardner, defensive back, supposed to be in the starting lineup. Took about half the season, maybe a little less than half the season, but didn't happen right off the bat. Then became a starter, has become a very, very important member of the secondary. Tremont Shorts, I heard he was in tandem with Frazier. It's like, well, LSU needs offensive linemen. Just plug him in. And they did on the first day of camp. And he was there for about a week. And then it was like, nope, got other guys that are better. Okay. Encouraged that he didn't walk, for senior night the other night. He's got an option to come back if he wants. We'll see. But that one didn't work out as well. Jarek Bernard-Converse, just plug him in, let him play corner. Yep. Not only that, did you plug him in and play corner all season, he ended up playing some safety. Been a very, very key component to that LSU defense. What about Greg Brooks? Well, he might be the nickel. He might be, the 6th defensive back. That guy's had a great year. I mean, he from day one, you could tell the difference when Brooks was back there. I mean, he made big plays. That play he made against Auburn, it's essentially put the game away with the late turnover. So those are some of the things that we got from Brian Kelly. They will have Thanksgiving dinner there, bringing the coaches' families in, and then they will leave for Texas A&M on Friday. LSU basketball 77-61 winner over Illinois State, Cayman Islands Classic. KJ Williams finished with 33 points. Last update we gave you at 33 points on 13 and 19 shooting, 6 for 6 from the free throw line. LSU spent a lot of time at the charity stripe today. They were 22 of 30, 73% from the line, so they got a lot of production there. They did not shoot it well from three-point range. They were only 3 for 14. They shot 49% from the floor, 26 of 53. Out-rebounded Illinois State 35-25. 18 turnovers for LSU. I didn't see the game, but that sounds like a lot. And let's see who else scored in double figures. Adam Miller had 13 points. He was only 2 of 9 from the field. But again, LSU spent a lot of time at the free throw line. I'm doing this blind, y'all. I just got this box score. 8 for 8 from the free throw line. Cam Hayes added 10 points off the bench. Tigers got 22 off the bench. They appeared to be in control pretty much throughout. They were up 45-18 at the half and get home. Outscored in the second half by 11. I'm sure that won't make Matt McMahon very happy, but apparently the game was not in doubt at that point. So LSU cruises to the 77-61 win, and they will play again tomorrow against. Are they playing tomorrow? I forgot. I'm asking you questions. I didn't even prepare you for that. Wofford.
There we go.
Wofford.
The Terriers.
No, that's not right. Yeah, it is.
I thought they were the Terriers.
Well, no, I'm sorry. They play Wofford next week. They play. I don't know. I'll find out during the break. It's the winner of, or the winner of somebody. So I'll figure that out during the break.
Brackets.
Come back. Your questions. It's the Western Kentucky game. Whoever Western Kentucky is playing. We'll get that for you during the break. We'll come back and wrap things up. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Well, I didn't get a chance to see it, but apparently Denham Springs won with one of the most exciting endings in all of high school football this past weekend. So they come back home. They're going to play Ruston this Friday night. Big Mike's is going to be open late after the game. So if you go out to watch the big game between Denham Springs and Ruston, we're in the third round of playoffs now. Big Mike's family-friendly, open for meals late after the Denham Springs game. What else would you expect where the Denham Springs Hall of Fame is, right? Thanksgiving Day, they will be opening at 6 o'clock. Live music by Byron Bujold on Thanksgiving Day. And, of course, it's happy hour drink prices on Sunday for the Saints. As you get that throughout the day. Big Mike's, part of the fabric of Denham Springs. They're on Aspen Boulevard, and Big Mike's were kind of a big deal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana Products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana Barbecue Sauce, Louisiana Molasses Mustard, Spicy and Sweet Barbecue Rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal.
Join us for a Monday edition of Hunt and Hill. React to the Saints and Rams, LSU, UAB, and the Tiger basketball squad down in the Caymans. Hunt and Hill, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Taking your questions in the chat. One of them was, if LSU makes the playoffs, what seed would they be? I can't answer that without knowing who the other teams were, but my guess is that they would probably be a 3. Is my guess. If you beat Georgia, don't you have to seed LSU ahead of Georgia at that point? I mean, we're talking in the hypotheticals here, but I mean, they wouldn't be ahead of the Big Ten champion. God, I mean, if TCU's undefeated, I mean, you got to keep them there. It's hard to answer that question without knowing, but my guess would be 3. My argument would be that Georgia has to be in, and if you just beat Georgia, you have to be ahead of Georgia. Recency bias. No, I mean, when they play head to head, it's kind of obvious, and I don't think that you would. I know you wouldn't be ahead of the. I know you wouldn't be ahead of the Big Ten champion. It's tough. Is it TCU with an undefeated record? Is it 12-1 SC? But my guess would be it would be 3. Another question about why the USA is not better in soccer, and you know the best players here play other sports generally, but who would be the best best professional athletes in the United States to be soccer players? And the two I always get is that Chris Paul, I've always been told, would have been an excellent soccer player. And when you think about, guy's a great athlete and his footwork is impeccable. So if Chris Paul had, instead of playing basketball, been playing soccer since he was the same age he started playing basketball, he'd probably be a great soccer player. And then LeBron would probably be the best goalkeeper in the world. If he, I don't know if I'd, he's not going to lug 260 pounds up and down the pitch for 90 minutes, but you put that guy in net and good luck getting it by. Say his reflexes are pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Say his range, his wingspan would be pretty good. So yeah. Ask me, am I going to watch the USA Wales match? Yeah, I am actually. I'm going to watch some World Cup. Now, look, on Friday when it's USA England, I'm going to have it on, but I'm going to be watching other stuff. I mean, it's college football all afternoon. I mean, listen, I'm counting down the minutes to Iowa and Nebraska. I mean, I need to see 17 points scored in a game played in probably 15-degree weather. So yeah, I'm gonna watch. Ask Hanny after the SEC championship game is played. Define how the Sugar Bowl selection is played out. It's the highest ranked teams that are not in the playoffs from the Big 12 and the SEC. That's and who would that be? Again, tell me who it is. If LSU loses to Georgia, and Alabama beats Auburn, my guess is that LSU is going to be behind Alabama in the final poll with 3 losses. So would it be them? What is the committee going to do to Tennessee? You know, are they going to they're going to hold that the quarterback is out against them. I told you at the beginning of the show why I hate that, but I'm certain that it's going to happen. So as strange as it sounds, there's still a lot of football to be played. The rest of the games are exceptionally meaningful. You know, there's no more games against UAB and Austin Peay. All of these all of these make a big difference in what's going to happen. OBJ would have been a great soccer player. Yeah, sure. I've got no problem believing that. You ever seen Beckham play basketball? I've only seen like the highlight clips and stuff like that. He sent a video out. He was at Duke for whatever reason, and he was just messing around with some of the basketball players. And you watch some of the athleticism there and the hand-eye coordination. Yeah, Beckham would have been a great soccer player. I mean, I think he probably would have been a fantastic basketball player if that had been what he wanted to do. So. Okay, thank you for all of that. LSU basketball. It's Western Kentucky against Akron. So they get the winner of Western Kentucky and Akron tomorrow. If you can pry yourself away from the football, there is a ton of good college basketball on throughout the holiday week. So if you can, you're watching World Cup, you're watching Pels tonight against the Warriors. Who's playing for Golden State? Anybody? Bueller?
As of now, they're all playing, but that could definitely change before the game.
Everybody's playing. Zion's playing.
Zion is probable.
Yeah, Zion's probable. All right. So wait. So all the stars are out tonight.
As of now, yeah, on a Monday.
You're gonna get Steph, Draymond, Clay, and Zion. Okay. Brandon Ingram's a superstar too, but we figured he was playing. So you got Pels tonight. Arizona and San Francisco in Mexico City. Niners and the Cardinals. Let me tell you what I need tonight. I'm ahead by, not that anybody cares, like 0.3 in my fantasy game. I'm out of players. He's got George Kittle. Any chance Kittle misses the bus to the stadium? That would be extremely helpful. Nobody cares. Nobody cares but me. But I mean, it's for first place. I mean, I'm in first place. We're headed towards December. I gotta root for something because I hate the line on the game. So I'm going to beg off of that. All right. Thanks to everybody for participating. For Mario and Taylor, I'm Charles Hanniger staying. Thank you and good afternoon. It's been Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
All the business owners that I've talked to recently complain about one thing more than anything else, and it's staffing. The amount of time and legwork that it takes to do interviews and background checks, the payroll expenses that are included with it. Let Tiger Labor and Staffing take care of all of this for you, to give you a chance to get back to work, run your business, take care of all the screening, the training, the payroll, all of your employment expenses. You won't have to go through all of the no-show for interviews. Tiger Labor and Staffing will handle the interview process and your onboarding. So whether you need somebody for a day, a week, or a little bit longer than that, you can control your labor expenses. You increase your flexibility. This is perfect for your seasonal employees during the holiday season. If you're bringing some people on, lower your employment risk. The temp to hire option is only 60 days. That's the lowest in the industry. Tiger Labor and Staffing, if you're looking for a job, they welcome skilled and unskilled labor. They match you with a job that fits, and there's quick turnarounds on pay. So get your work done without the worries. Tiger Labor and Staffing. Success begins with the eye of the tiger. Go to tigerlabor.com.